are good for something. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's been a long 5 years. When I first approached the county in 2003 and said, what can we do? I kind of had a feeling in my mind that it would take 5 years, and I sincerely hoped that it wouldn't take 10. And so here we are 5 years and 2 months later, and we've made some progress. The remarks that you've heard already gave you some of the history, and I'm not going to repeat a lot of it. I would note that the people who are buried here were ordinary Santa Rosans, ordinary Sonoma County residents who simply were poor. During the Depression, almost everyone was poor. There are people buried here, including, for example, Walter Guy Wilson, whose daughter Daisy is with us today, who was a perfectly respectable citizen, but during the Depression, when people were scrambling to make a few dollars to pay for a roof over their head and buy their children food, they didn't have money for a funeral and to buy a plot in a cemetery. So many people ended up being buried here by Sonoma County. Nothing wrong with them, they just didn't have any money at that time. There are also a few veterans buried here. Normally, veterans are not to be buried in pauper cemeteries by action of state law, but in a few cases, people traveling through the area, for example, the county did not know they were veterans, and so they were buried here, and we honor them today as part of this ceremony. The Chinese were buried here specifically due to prejudice. Some of them, notably Tom Wing Wong, who was a successful merchant, store owner, and a businessman, and whose daughter was Song Wong, of whom Gayla Barron has written. He was buried here. He died in 1918. He was actually quite well-to-do, and the family had the financial resources to bury him anywhere they wanted. But the prejudice was such that he could only be buried here. And unfortunately, we no longer know where his grave is. So the restoration, the work that all of the volunteers has done is not for the people in the cemetery. They are beyond our help. It's for the family members of the people, and it's for all of the citizens of Sonoma County and Santa Rosa, because this is part of our story. This is part of our history, and there are some fascinating stories that I will be bringing out in my book in the future. Some really interesting people. I'm sorry that I do not have time to tell you some of these stories. Those of you who know me know how I love to hear myself talk, and we would be here all day, and I don't want to do that to you. I'm sure you all have other things to do. But suffice it to say, there are some really interesting stories, and you will hear them in due time. Now, we have not quite finished with the cemetery. Some of you have perhaps seen the large plaque with names on it that's standing on the ground by the entrance. That is one of 4 plaques that we are purchasing that will have all of the names of everyone we've been able to find by name here. There are over 1,300 names that will be on the 4 plaques. We have purchased the first one, and we are raising money to buy 3 more. If you can help us, there's a donation jar and also some donation forms if you'd like to take one with you. We do ask you to help that way. And of course, Sonoma County Regional Parks is always looking for more volunteers to help not only cleaning up this cemetery, but working on the many other parks. And I'm sure John Ryan would be glad to talk to you if you're interested in volunteering.